today by Oi Yee Choo, an experienced investment banker out of Singapore, who is currently the Chief Commercial Officer of ADDX. ADDX is a fintech that's on a mission to improve transparency and bring more access to private markets. ADDX is regulated by the Monetary Authority of Singapore and has been working on democratizing capital markets since 2017. What kind of investments, Oi Yee, are you bringing to investors closer to them?
Hi, Effie. Thank you very much for the time with you. I'm very happy to be speaking about what we're doing here at ADDX. We started this in alternative investments for the average investor. And, you know, when you think about that, one of the biggest asset classes would be the fund space. Now, outside of the mutual funds that you see on the retail market, there are other types of funds that have very interesting investment mandates. So, for example, venture capital funds that invest in early stage companies. There are hedge funds that are obviously take a lot more market risk and volatility and therefore are higher risk, but also higher return. And also private equity funds that are not so easily available to investors.
Oi Yee, how is ADDX using technology to offer these choices to investors that you mentioned?
So if you look at the way we've built our technology, it is really an exchange-based technology, but we layer on what is today, you know, what's quite hot in the financial services space, blockchain. And what does blockchain do? Blockchain builds upon it a ledger system. So we have the matching engine, which allows trades to be matched. And we have a ledger that is built on blockchain. And what that means is that the information from the start of the transaction to the end of the transaction is captured very well in the blockchain itself. We also have on top of that what we call smart contracts. And smart contracts essentially instructs the chain or instructs the security. So for example, payment of coupons for a bond deal is automated by the smart contract.
Clearly, the Monetary Authority of Singapore is globally recognized as an innovator, especially in capital markets and with very high standards. I mean, I'm based in Switzerland, and we all feel that if some entity is regulated by the mass, then that is a great validation. What kinds of licenses does ADDX have or needs to have?
So we have capital markets license, both in dealing and securities, as well as custody. And the reason why we have custody is because by the definition of our platform, because the information sits on our platform within the distributed ledger, the custody license means that we are custodizing that digital asset. The third license we have is a recognized market operator license, and that allows us to operate an exchange. And these three are very well regulated by MAS, and you are absolutely right. The MAS holds us to a very high standard. We also have to comply with the MAS standards with onboarding clients. So we do the full know your client and any anti-money laundering protocols that MAS requires. And so we actually do a lot of that work on our platform.
Great. So you mentioned earlier about the target audience of ADDX. It's for the moment being, you told us it's accredited investors. What about the jurisdiction?
So as we are regulated by MAS, we operate all our activities in Singapore itself. And so we adhere to the regulations that MAS has on both the Securities and Futures Act, how we onboard clients, etc. Most of our clients are actually Singapore based. However, we do see a number of investors outside of Singapore who have heard of us either from our PR or they see what MAS is doing with us as a fintech startup, and they have come to our platform and applied. Now, and that is because that is through reverse inquiry. We follow and adhere through the MAS regulations around reverse inquiry. But interestingly, we do have about 27 to 28% of our investors actually come from overseas because they've heard about us and they're curious about what securities tokens are. And we are, I believe, one of the global leaders in adapting, structuring, issuing, and trading these tokens. And so we do get a lot of international clients signing up on our platform.
Oi Yee, who are the backers of the ADDX venture? Who have believed in you and invested?
So our investors, we were very fortunate. We started off with Singapore Exchange, and they came in as a very early seed investor and helped us to think about some of the core tenets of our technology and our governance structure. Then we had Heliconia, which is Temasek-backed fund that invests in small and medium enterprises in Singapore. Post that, we saw regional financial institutions like Patra from Thailand, Tokai in Japan, and Hanwha from Korea. And as you know, a lot of these organization trend is happening in Japan. And so we had a few other Japanese investors, including a Development Bank of Japan, a Juroku Bank, as well as JIC, which is a government-backed fund invest in ADDX. I think that the alternative asset market space has to be a part of the discussion on allocation within a wealth portfolio. So that is very exciting to me. That is very exciting that we have technology that is so cutting edge that we can solve so many use cases for access, but actually also recreate or redesign what corporate finance could look like.
Blurring the lines of private and public markets and definitely democratizing access. Thank you.